Good afternoon, good evening. It's my honor to join you today, and thank you very much for your hospitality and welcoming the BSV community here to RAK. As my good friend Marcin has introduced, I am Richard Baker. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for a company within the ecosystem called TAAL. And I could have shown you lots of pictures of our data centers that we run for mining operations, but I don't think that would be very exciting. So I'm going to talk about the why. Why do we build what we build, and why do we work on this blockchain? And I had the pleasure of meeting a few people a little earlier, and we got into a few interesting parts of this journey already. But firstly, I'm obliged to say that we're a publicly quoted company. We're listed on the stock markets in Canada, our headquarters Toronto, and our biggest team also in Switzerland. So I don't expect you to read all of these words, but I'm always obliged to cover that. But what excites me about this journey is I think I've been in technology, financial services, commerce for far too long, 25, 30 years. But I had the joy of being in the telecoms industry back in the 90s. And I think many people forget that back in late 1980s, 87 through to 91, we saw the first big shift in what was analog networking for the world, ultimately transformed to become, the starting point of digital. And that, what I'm referring to, is optical networks were being built around the world by telecoms companies. And out of the San Francisco area, we saw Cisco Systems come to market with something called IP networking, TCP/IP. And TCP/IP became the foundation of the internet. And in my curve here, we look at the evolution of data on the top part of this chart. And we saw in the 90s with TCP/IP the invention of Web 1.0, the static internet. And none of us really knew what the internet was going to be or what it would be used for at that time. And again, I think the second big shift happened in the mid-2000s. I was working myself in digital media at the time, but Web 2.0 became the dynamic internet, and it coincided with the invention of streaming protocols. And so here we are today with cloud computing, and most of us enjoy video streaming applications or music applications. And I certainly remember thinking, I'm never going to give up my CD collection or my DVD collection. I needed to own physical music and physical video. But of course, we've now got catalogs in the sky, and my identity is assigned to various services that we enjoy consuming. So I use this backstory because we're amidst the next big change, Web 3.0. And Web 3.0 is heralded as the Internet of Value. And that journey board can only really happen because of blockchain technology. And Web 3.0 means a lot of things to different people around the world at the moment. It gets mixed up with the metaverse. It gets mixed up itself with digital ledger technology, and it's been hijacked to a certain extent by the journey of cryptocurrencies. And we'll try and separate some of those as we go through the next few minutes. But I've also put on this chart the other big phenomenon that is happening around the world, and that is the disruption to money and money systems. And money has always evolved through society, from barter systems in the 3rd century to actually post-COVID around the world. We've seen a 68% rise in the adoption of digital payments. And most of us have our mobile phones with various digital wallets, and we tap pay as we go through all kinds of experiences. But we are amidst the next big change in the convergence of owning and controlling personal data, but with the advent of a micropayment system that blockchain enables. And I refer to this as the data commerce convergence. Blockchain, I think, has reached a very significant inflection point in the last 2 years. Here we have some really significant institutional investors coming into blockchain, not cryptocurrency, but blockchain technologies. And we're seeing investment here in the billions now from many institutions, banks, family offices around the world. And the themes that are beginning to emerge, if we look a little bit deeper, just in the last 7 quarters, we've seen billion-dollar investments per quarter into blockchain technology. And the macro themes that are coming out from those investors exist in 3 pillars. the foundational layer, the transactional layer, and the application layer. And for the way I and my team run TAAL, we exist in the foundational layer and the transactional layer. We run protocols and a platform, we run an infrastructure, data centers, but we also ultimately are taking advantage of the BSV blockchain. Within the protocol, it is a digital cash system. It enables micropayments. And it is really exciting to see how much of the world is beginning to move towards wanting to monetize personal information, personal data, different experiences in different ways. And of course, a lot of this talked about in the Web3 story is linked to a lot of my data gets into vertical silos, so data lakes, it's owned by others, and I'm monetized without being in control of that monetization. And this is the world of arbitration in the way that digital ads work, or my data is sold off, but I'm not necessarily in control of that. And why do we care? So I started with the why. So we run, at the bottom of this chart, on the right, block compute. At the end of the day, a blockchain is about 10-minute cycles. You run mining machines to solve a computational problem every 10 minutes. And in our case, we solve that problem, and yes, we earn a digital token for solving that problem. But more importantly, today we run the largest block node network, meaning we can pack a lot of transaction data into every 10-minute cycle. So we process millions of transactions every 10 minutes. And it's that transaction layer that's at the heart of the BSV network. So it's a 4 gigabit block size, and it supports, ultimately, this digital cash system and data processing. And for TAAL, over the last 12 months or so, we transformed effectively from just being an infrastructure company to being a software business. And that software business is about trying to make the blockchain more usable for everybody. We're trying to abstract away the complication of the protocol and the technology layers and actually build great user experiences that allows different industries to use it. And the 4 that we observe today really embracing blockchain and clients that work with us are in healthcare, and we're seeing one of our clients digitizing prescription issuance. And so they're using the blockchain to create a prescription for opioid drugs in North America written to the blockchain, so there's an immutable record of that prescription for a patient, and they track it through to when it's dispensed in the chemist, in the pharmacy. Supply chain, we've got a partner later today talking about their role in supply chain, so digitizing, produce from field to shop shelf and looking at the traceability, the track and trace of goods. So for us, the journey ahead, and ideally how we wish to partner here, is to help not only enterprises and consumers adopt the BSV blockchain, but it's to build together and help entrepreneurs, startups, and enterprises use this technology to digitize and transform their businesses. And you'll see, as we chat over the next day, us talking about connected commerce, which is ultimately the digital cash system of the protocol being built as a user experience. Connected data, helping you put data on the blockchain and read data. And connected assets. Around the world, we're beginning to see smart buildings, smart cities, the digitization of road gantry systems, smart streetlights. And we're getting ready, if you like, for the connected autonomous journey ahead. But all of this data can be written to the blockchain to build smart contracts and how those systems run. But more importantly, they are commerce points. You and I will not be paying for how our electric car charges itself. That can be a token, and that payment system is a micropayment system. So some of the companies that are going to talk to you today are our clients, and we work across this ecosystem richly. And today, there are over 1,500 developers building on the BSV ecosystem, advancing that protocol and really expanding the capability. And we're really proud of partnering with many of these companies. And my last slide is to share with you that this technology is actually been too complicated for too long. There's lots of language around blockchain, digital ledger, and how smart contracts work or don't work. But the big picture here is we're really on a journey through enterprise data 20 years ago being held on-premise, in servers, in storage devices. Over the last 15 years, we've seen that, in many cases, move to private clouds or public clouds, so the rise of cloud computing, the use of distributed architectures to lower cost and achieve more. And really, blockchain is not replacing that cloud computing world, it's augmenting it. There is too many misconceptions that says, I'm going to put my data on the blockchain and it replaces what I built before. That's not true. Blockchain is about bringing together data and commerce for a new world. Thank you very much.